What I'm learning from most of the science YouTubers is that there are like there are two science type YouTubers, or building or engineering or whatever, like the unhinged type, and then like Mark Rober type. That are like, we're professional, we do everything above board. And then you have, all right, let's just explode things, let's figure it out, let's make a gun out of tampons. Or
the worst thing is, like, they all come up with crazy things on their own, but when you get these science guys together, it's horrible. Like at the zoo, like we were staying at like an Airbnb with a bunch of them together, and you and Backyard Scientist, just pretty much destroyed the entire house. Like within 5 minutes, they caused this explosion in the backyard.
What? No, within 5 minutes, I had stabbed Kevin, Backyard Scientist.
What do you mean you stabbed Kevin?
By accident.
How did you stab him?
Because we were in the house and
each other up,
we were we hyped each other up, and the house had locked doors like every Airbnb does.
Right.
And we were like, oh, let's go lockpick all the doors and just go rummage through their possessions like fucking horrible people. And in the process of trying to lockpick, I was using a knife to shimmy the lock open. I slipped and just stabbed Kevin straight in the arm and just went straight through his thing, just hit his bone. And this was after 5 minutes, and we had this moment where we stopped and looked at each other and we're just like, why did we do this? Like, how did we get here? Like, how did I stab you, Kevin?
Yeah, I've got exactly the same brand of ADD. It's like, and then you enable each other.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's like when you see like a dog looking into a mirror, and they're like, oh, this thing's like imitating me.
Yeah, like Kevin made Backyard Scientist. He made like his own rocket fuel.
Yeah, Kevin's
crazy,
like,
man.
Which is like, what?
Kevin's like the person I want to be in terms of like his level. Like, he's incredibly smart and just will hyper focus on something and just make ridiculous inventions. Like his Tesla coil that plays music and. Yeah,
I've never been a spiritual man. When I saw that Tesla coil, I thought I saw God. Like it was crazy.
Have you guys heard them play music?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
And when you're in the same room as them, it does something where the air, I think, is charged.
Yeah.
So you feel like, your skin literally has goosebumps because there's static electricity, like pulling your hairs out of your body.
Yeah, I recently like played around with the Tesla coil because I was hanging out with this Japanese YouTuber who's basically the equivalent of what you do, but Japanese.
What's his name?
Sushi Ramen Ricky.
Yeah, I've watched him.
Yeah. So like he has a Tesla coil as well, and I went to his place to just hang out with him, make a video, and he was like, "Oh, let's try and cook marshmallows with a Tesla coil."
Nice.
And so we're just standing there holding this thing while this Tesla coil is just burning the shit out of this marshmallow. And yeah, as you said, like I felt my entire body just like get electrically charged, and I'm like, this is not safe. Like I should not be in this room right now.
Yeah.
Was this a homemade Tesla coil?
Yeah. He had like made a Tesla coil, and I was like, "Is this safe?" And he's like, "Well, I'm not dead." And I'm like, "That's not a guarantee at all."
That's not a good barometer considering. If he doesn't know what he's doing with electricity, like you said.
Yeah,
but it's a bit of survival of the fittest. If he's lasted this long, that means there's a filter and he's passing it.
Have you ever had to do any like studying for like, or just like upping your knowledge for whatever you're building?
I talk shit about myself a lot, but I have gotten a bit better at making things in terms of like welding and machining abilities.
Right.
It's nice in that now I can actually work with something, break it down and turn it into parts that are usable, and having the ability to like just turn metal into like bolts and threads and cut stuff is pretty cool, because you can actually look at something and be like, whoa, I can make all the parts to this just with metal at home.
Right.
And then learning to weld is nice because it's just so strong. And it's actually, people talk shit about welding a lot. We're like, oh, you have to do it in this right way. It's like, no, you can just kind of get a stick and go like this, and it does just hold together. It's like, it's nice. Yeah.
I just, how'd you come up with your ideas for what you want to make or like your new videos? Because it's sometimes I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense. I look at Michael Reeves and I'm like, okay, there's some logic. It's like batshit crazy logic, but there's some kind of logic. And sometimes I look at your videos, I'm like, what the fuck are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to prove here?
I think it's usually starting from one place that's logical. Like something will kind of spark a bit of like a question in my mind,
right?
Of something I've seen in the world, or something someone says, and then you just kind of go from there. You write that idea down, and then you just twist it a little bit or tweak it. A lot of it comes from me thinking, oh, what would people on YouTube like? What's interesting? Like,
how can I put my life in danger in ways that are fun?
I feel your videos are kind of like the questions that like high people like ask each other, except you make it a reality.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of videos where both of you have been like, we should make this, and you're like, oh, this is a terrible idea, we should not do this. This is horrible.
Coming up with the boy ideas is fun because it's really like just like I don't know, trying to push like political questions or things we're interested in, but you're like, oh, how can we turn that into a political video? Yeah.
Yeah, like I saw you. I don't know if this ended up being a trend, but I saw you snuck into like an arms dealer convention or something.
Yeah. It did get a bit of people doing the same thing.
Yeah, we were talking about that, and we had a lot of people just make the exact same video.
Yeah, because I saw that one video. Then my YouTube recommended was like, oh, I snuck into a security convention. I snuck into an X convention. I don't know.
Yeah,
Which is very easy.
It was crazy when I was doing it. Yeah, it was so easy, but like I assumed that it wasn't going to work. I'm like, of course it's not going to work. Like, why would I be in there? And then apparently like no one checks it.
So what was the process of like sneaking into this convention?
Well, I mean, I was staking out the place quite a bit. I was thinking like, do I like jump the fence? Do I do this? And what I ended up doing was after the first day, all the kind of arms dealers had posted on Twitter being like, oh, I'm a fun day at the festival. And they had all their lanyards there. I'm like, okay, I know what the lanyard looks like. I'll kind of copy it. But for legal reasons, I couldn't copy it exactly because that's like fraud. So it was called Land Forces and I just called it Fake Passes. And there's like a QR code on there. I just put on a random website and then I just walked in. And I think it's one of those like, and you get scanned and no one checks anything and you go straight through and it's just like, I think the way it works, a lot of the security there are terrified of you because you're some like hotshot arms dealer. Like, you know, you're going to get them fired if they hold you up too long. So it's just like
you could potentially work for Boeing. Like, you're not going to say no.
So I think it's just like confidence is like the biggest part of it, and like it is creepy.
Looking like you belong. Like just walking in
I think
like
the coffee's a big trick.
Like
walking in with a coffee and a suit, like people are gonna be like, that man belongs here. He's late and he's grumpy and he's tired and he needs to be in a meeting.
It's like the modern day equivalent of like the high vis.
It's exactly it. And it's like no one's gonna question you. Like,
and the coffee's also nice because you're terrified in there and you always want to shake. And when you're holding something, at least you got something to do with your hands.
Did you get any flack at all for doing that, or was it all just?
No, that was all fine. I think the nice thing about arms dealers is that like everyone hates them. There aren't a lot of people on the internet that are going into battle like, "Hey man, you're a bit
that's harsh on the arms." Come on.
That was an easier one.
All right, so you've learned how to launder money, how to get in any convention. Is there any other life hacks you've learned from making your videos?
What have we done?
What's something that like you've figured out through your videos that you're like, this is fucked, but it's commonplace?
the money laundering. Obviously that one. I don't know.
I'm blanking now. I forgot every video I've done.
I'm trying to remember the videos you've done. I'm trying to go through my head. I think I've watched all of them or most of them.
I think a big thing from Boiis is just how easy it is to lie as any kind of media company or what's considered like a fact. That when you actually look into, you're like, there's no real information.
There's nothing behind this.
Nothing behind it, and people don't realize that whenever they're hearing a story, there's an agenda behind it. It doesn't matter which country's saying it. There's always something like that. So it's like,
I mean, it's because like objective news is boring. You know, it's boring, and people don't want to read it and engage with it a lot of times. So you need to like, I guess, spice it up. And we do the same things as YouTubers because we need to like sensationalize our thumbnails and titles as much as possible. Was there any concern with when you were making videos about like maybe Australian politics? Because, you know, like Friendly Geordies, right? Do you guys know who this channel is? He covers a bunch of Australian politics and the kind of the corruption and stuff going on. And they firebombed his house for discussing. Well, you don't know who, right? But there's some good ideas about who it probably was. But yeah, I mean, the dude got his house. They tried to kill him. Is there any kind of like, hey, maybe we should, maybe not?
So we did our money laundering video with him. He was like the original guy who exposed it. And like potentially they firebombed him because of it. I don't know. I can't say who did it.
So the firebombing happened. So we filmed, the timeline was we filmed with him. Right. Then 2 days later, before we released the video, he was firebombed.
Jesus.
And then we had to make the decision. I was really scared where I was like, because parts of my
it was just before Christmas and your gift to me was a fire extinguisher.
And to my mum was a fire extinguisher as well. I gave her as a gift. And she was so chill about it. She was like, oh, thank you, this is great, I'll hang it up in the shoe cupboard. I was like, do you know why it's this is in case organized crime burns
Yeah.
your house
Yeah.
down. It's like,
Yeah, no, it was quite scary. Like,
yeah. But I think it's, we were lucky that Friendly Geordies exposed it first. Took the heat, hopefully, literally. And then we were just like, yeah, it's happened now. Are they going to firebomb another YouTuber? That's kind of lame.
it's
That's old
overkill.
news.
But he was so lucky as well because like he was meant to die, like because he was meant to be there. And he's someone organized that he like forgot his keys and he had to go stay at a friend's house.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's insane.
Crazy.
It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, the thought that a YouTuber could be killed or just murdered for just talking about fucking politics is so crazy. We've got to that point where the YouTuber has that much influence that it would be a problem for more people, right?
Honestly, I think what it is that like journalists aren't doing their jobs. Like no one's reporting on this, so the only one who is this YouTuber. So he's the one that's going to get fucked.
I guess because there's so much, with a lot of journalism, there's a lot of money that is influence going on, right? And the only people who really don't have someone to answer to is just a random YouTuber. It's like, oh, fuck my Patreon. And it's like, okay, all right, this is weird. Like, this is weird that it's come to this where only independent journalists can kind of really go after this stuff and afford to.
Although to be fair, after the firebombing, I think his subscriber count like doubled.
Oh yeah, went up.
So
He got like 400.
I fucking hope so.
I reckon he did it to himself.
It's a little suspicious. Right? It was a good video. I watched this video where he was like, who firebombed Friendly Geordies. It was a great video.
Yeah.
It was a really good video where it was all laid out about, it was really interesting stuff.
He's a very impressive man. Like I don't understand. If I got firebombed, it would probably end my career. I'd probably stop. He's just like so determined.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah,
impressive.
because he also had, like, one of his producers got arrested, right?
Yeah,
Oh my God,
Christo
Dave,
got,
Yeah, this was like a whole big thing as well, like a year ago or something, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm not too familiar with it, but it was kind of a crazy thing where he was reporting, making videos about a prominent political figure, and then they got like the terrorism or special terrorism unit
the
to
fixated
arrest
persons unit.
to arrest his like producer.
so bad.
It's just like, what the fuck is this?
It's just the funniest response when what you're doing is pointing out corruption, and then in order to fight back, like we're going to do the most corrupt thing to you right now.
I'll show
I'll
you
teach you.
corruption. Thank you. You've proved our point.
I mean, it's really impressive that. I mean, it seems that a lot of Aussie creators are, no matter what gets thrown their way, they're just like, fuck it, just keep going.
That's just the Aussie way, right?
It's like a very Aussie response. You're like, your life, they're trying to ruin your life. You're like, I'll just do it more.